Just heading out this morning on day 18 from Russell Field Shelter. There was maybe, I don't know, you can see there's a couple people tented out. It wasn't quite full, but there was probably maybe 14 people there, 12 in the shelter, maybe 4 in tents. So survived my first night in the shelter. Wasn't too bad. I didn't sleep great, but it had nothing to do with the shelter. I just didn't sleep great. One person was snoring. It wasn't me. Which didn't help, but it wasn't too bad really. And it was actually nice not to have to pack up a tent this morning. So, and let's see, I think it's either 15 today or 17. Kind of depends on the grade. It was such an easy grade yesterday. Well, I shouldn't say easy, but easier. So if it stays like that today, you know, we'll do 15 or 17. There's maybe another option to do like 10 or something, but we'll see how it goes. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. That was terrible, beyond bad, but I'm on top of Rocky Top and it is amazing. The view is incredible. That's North Carolina that way, Tennessee that way. I'm walking along the border, sort of along from that direction, coming from that direction, sort of going back and forth between North Carolina and Tennessee. And don't really consider it a new state just yet, because we've been going back and forth. And then way down there, if I can zoom in, you can see Fontana. So that's by trail, probably about 18 miles or so. But just an amazing view. I don't know how well this shows up, but you could see where this just turns into a river if it rains. It hasn't rained but a couple of days, and it's different in the park here on parts like this. I don't know if it's because there aren't the trail maintainers in the national park. You'd think it'd be the opposite actually, right? But because of underfunding. But a lot of the trail in Georgia and North Carolina, you know, pretty well maintained, and on a lot of the corners on the steeper parts of the trail, you'd see runoff points where they've dug out sort of a ditch so the water, the runoff, would go off the trail. Here you can see just the erosion where the water just runs straight down the trail. And I'm sure it doesn't help the amount of traffic coming through the Smoky Mountain National Park. And then yesterday, actually, they allow pack animals, horses. And yesterday I passed 2 guys leading 2 pack horses, so I'm sure that contributes to the erosion as well. But I sure wouldn't want to be here if it was pouring rain. This would be one long river. So I just have a couple miles left for the day, not even, like a mile and a half. And I'm on top of Seiler's Bald, which is at like 5,600 feet. And I'm 4 miles short of Clingman's Dome, which I said is the tallest point or highest point on the AT at like 6,600 feet. So I'm guessing that's Clingman's Dome right there. And that'll be tomorrow morning. So if I've got a mile and a half left, that's just 2.5, 3 miles to go to get up there. So that'll be hopefully it'll be a nice morning tomorrow. So that'll do it for day 18. I am just leaving Double Spring Gap Shelter. It's an early start this morning. I think I'm going here at about 6:45. It was an interesting night last night. I was all set up along with everyone else in the shelter. Probably 3 or 4 people tenting. Shelter was completely full, so probably like 6 on the top and 6 on the bottom. And about 9 o'clock is, what do they call it, hiker midnight? And everyone quiets down, tries to go to sleep. And about 9:30, definitely a guy that I would say is a professional snorer. No bears were coming around with this guy going, not like the person the night before. This one you could have heard for miles away. He was definitely freight train material. So after laying there for about half an hour, I got out about, I don't know, 10 o'clock and set up my tent in the dark, which actually wasn't too bad. It was pretty easy actually. And got in my tent, just falling asleep. Then about midnight, if you can believe it, someone came walking through camp, night hiking, and they must have had a speaker, because it definitely wasn't headphones. They had a speaker on their backpack, and they're blaring Tom Petty. I don't know if it was Free Falling or what the song was, I don't remember, but so that was like 12. Then at 4 or 5 of the people in the shelter wanted to get up early and see sunrise on top of Klingman's Dome, so I get that too, but it was still 4 o'clock in the morning. They were packing up, so in between I slept good. And today I'm headed to Newfound Gap, where there's hopefully a shuttle for me to get into Gatlinburg to resupply, and they'll be back at it, back out. Same shuttle is going to hopefully bring me back in the morning. I'll be back on the trail tomorrow. So I think it's about 3 or 4 miles to the top of Klingman's Dome, and like 10 miles total to Newfound Gap. So should be there by early afternoon. Nice day though. So while I've got a little bit of flat trail here this morning, I'll explain to you another sort of interesting fact about the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And if you're eating or having your breakfast or whatever, you might not want to listen to this little segment, but one of the interesting things about the Smokies, you know, everywhere else you have a shelter and you have a privy, outhouse, whatever you want to call it. And if you think that's sort of gross, then you really like what they do in the Smokies. They have what they call a toilet area. And the toilet area is sort of just an open space. And sometimes there's a shovel by the shelter you're supposed to bring with you, but everyone just sort of poops in that open space. And you know, you're supposed to dig a hole and cover it up, etc. But needless to say, not everyone is as diligent as they should be. So I'm not sure what they have against privies in the Smokies. But there you go. Now you know more than you want to know about the Smokies and their use of toilet areas. I'll let your imagination conjure up the rest. I don't know how this will come out, but it's pretty cool. The sunlight coming through the moss-covered trees. There's a pretty good idea why they call them the Smoky Mountains. So if you're familiar with Mount Washington in New England at all, much like that, you hike. If you're a hiker, you hike and you hike uphill, in this case for the better part of 3 days, and you get up here to the top of Klingman's Dome, and people can drive to the top. which I guess makes it nice for everybody. And then you have this sort of huge dome at the top, and we'll go up and check out the view. One nice thing, at least for me, I think someone told me last night that the road to get up there, they don't open it till 9 o'clock. So, on a typical day, I guess there's throngs and hundreds of tourists up here. But it's like 8:30. I think I'm the only one up here. Maybe a little windy on the speaker on the phone, but pretty cool view, that's for sure. That's to the east. That would have been sunrise for the people that hiked up here for sunrise this morning. Looks like Gatlinburg, you can just see in the distance down there. And I would say that's probably where I've come from the last 3 days, that way. I think I'm like 4 for 4 on big summits and being the only person at the top. Kind of nice. One thing I forgot to mention about Clingman's Dome, it's a very big milestone, at least for me. It also marks almost exactly the 200-mile mark. So 200 miles on the trail. Woohoo! So this is Newfound Gap. Look at all these people. This might be an appropriate time for today's quiz question. How many people visit Great Smoky Mountain National Park on an annual basis? 4 million, 8 million, or 12 million? The answer is 12 million. It's the most visited national park in the United States. More than Yellowstone, more than Yosemite. And it feels like it right here. This is crazy. Probably 100 cars up here. This is the end of day 19, and if I thought Helen was a lot, a little too much coming out of the woods, then Gatlinburg is like on steroids times 100. Little sensory overload.